All right, guys, real quick, I'm just going to touch on one of the typical customers that we get that oftentimes we dismiss as quickly as we possibly can. Hang tight, folks. Let me just get your gift card. We'll get you out of here. We'll expedite the process as fast as we can. That's going to be your customer that's driving a 2-year-old car, with somewhere between 20 and 40K on it. Okay. To a lot of us, our perception is that that's a new car, right? It's a lot newer than most of the cars that a lot of us are driving. So we immediately tailor towards our own belief. We completely forget the most important thing, and that is the customer's perception. And then we also completely forget that we spend 80% of our time looking for not just a potential buyer, but a qualified buyer, right? So when you think about qualified buyer, right? What would an indication be to somebody who's driving a 2-year-old vehicle with 20 to 40,000 miles? They can buy. So at least your time is not going to be completely wasted because they have the ability. You could spend all the time in the world with a 500 to 550, a 580, and some of them, yes, they'll absolutely get done. Sometimes you'll make some money. However, one of the things that you can pretty much rest assured on is that customers driving nicer, newer vehicles have the ability to buy. And therefore, if you can learn to actually extract interest out of those customers, you have a guaranteed in. So rather than just dismiss these customers, what I oftentimes default to doing is to say, absolutely, you say, obviously you begin with the pitch and the customer says, oh, listen, no, that car's brand new to me. Are you kidding me? Why would I ever trade that thing in? And we, rather than just dismiss them, say, absolutely, folks, I completely understand. If you don't mind, how long have you owned the car for? Some of them bought the car brand new. Some of them bought it within the last year, right? Well, what you're going to want to touch on is the fact that think of the stock market. Well, purchasing anything, purchasing real estate, purchasing stocks, purchasing automobiles, any large denomination of money transferring into somebody else, be it a depreciative asset or an actual investment, the best time to buy is when the market is low. The best time to sell is when the market is high. Well, what you're going to explain to a customer is, and you're not going to immediately insult them. You're going to receive the objection. Absolutely, folks, I completely understand. A lot of my customers actually believe the same thing. If you don't mind, I'd like to share what some of those people have found after doing a lot of research when they came back around and through. There's a reason why you received this invitation, and you happen to be at a little bit of a crossroads with your vehicle, right? You're going to have already established their trade cycle, how old their last car was when they traded it, so that you can establish the pattern and use that as additional ammunition. However, what you're going to immediately launch into is the fact that what is the customer's number one gripe about buying a pre-owned vehicle? And you guys have already guessed it, right? It is they don't want anybody else's headaches, right? I don't want to inherit anybody else's headaches. So, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, if you think about it, you're going to want to target the largest number of potential consumers for your potential trade in order to capture the most amount of value out of your vehicle. So when somebody's in the market, even for a brand new vehicle, maybe it's just a little bit outside their budget range, but you still have a current model year or maybe a model year or two old, and it's still the exact same vehicle, their first objection is going to be they don't want to inherit anybody else's problems, right? Well, if that vehicle is still covered under full factory warranty, right? That alleviates that concern because the factory is still responsible. If it had a lot of issues, it would have been qualified as a lemon, right? So what you're doing is you're opening up the potential market to as large a group of consumers as you possibly can. In addition to that, your lenders prefer to loan money on newer vehicles with lower mileage, hence they always get lower interest rates. Because it's a lower risk factor. Because when things start to break down on vehicles, right, it starts to cost people additional money. That's money that they didn't necessarily budget for. And most people, because we're Americans, we like to max out our absolute most. We want to buy the most amount of vehicle that we can buy, not that we can really afford. We're going to be tapped out. So if something breaks on it, oftentimes that means that we start getting behind on a payment. Then the progression of downslide starts. But also from there, you want to talk to them about what happens when a vehicle comes in trade, right? And these are you just want to grasp the fundamentals, adapt this to yourself, and make it something that rolls fluently off of your tongue. Folks, what happens when a dealership trades a vehicle? If you look at our lot, right, even the pre-owned vehicles that we have, they look 100%, right? because they come in trade, they're fully serviced, they go through 140 or 150 point inspection by a master certified franchise technician or certified trained franchise technician, and then they go through a full reconditioning by a certified reconditioning tech, and so that they are made as close to brand new as we possibly can. Now, do you know what the average cost of that servicing on a vehicle right after it breaks the manufacturer's bumper-to-bumper warranty? And that typically is right around the 40,000 mile mark. The average cost is going to be $1,800, right? And that's for us to service it up to the specifications that the franchise mandates in order to present it as a retail automobile, and also that our lenders hold us accountable to in order to assume the risk of loaning money against it. So with that being said, if you trade your vehicle while it's still under full factory bumper to bumper, what is the cost for the dealership to do the servicing to bring that vehicle up to primo 100% retail quality? Zero. So it stands to reason that right now, folks, if you have 33,000 miles on your car, right, and you already told me that you're planning on driving it for maybe another 12 or 18 months, we already know that they drive 15,000 miles a year. That means that they're going to put somewhere between 15 and 23,000 more miles on their vehicle. But that's going to become immediately the most expensive period of time to own your vehicle, because you're going to be assuming the deficit of that $1,800 value. Plus, you're going to be decreasing your target market for who's a potential consumer for your vehicle. You're going to be raising the risk factor for anybody who would potentially be looking to purchase your vehicle at that point later on down the road. And it's going to cost them more money to buy a lesser vehicle, because they're going to be paying more in interest and receiving none of the benefits. So if we have already established that, you know, your average vehicle depreciates what, somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000 a year, right? Depending on what type of or what class of vehicle that you're driving, right? So if it's going to depreciate $1,500 to $3,000 a year, right? And you're going to assume the additional $1,800 just in the servicing, plus you're going to decrease your potential target market, you're in a position where all of a sudden you're looking at, you know, you're between the value here of your potential consumers, the $1,500 to $3,000, your $1,800 here, you're looking at in excess of $5,000 to $6,000. And that's before, folks, we actually get into the fact that your allocated stimulus funds is being offered directly to you to help assist you in making this transition right here and right now, before you hit this mileage marker, before you start to lose that value. So you have an extra $2,217 being applied here, in addition to help you make that transition. So if you're in the market in the next 12 to 18 months, it would really behoove you, as a lot of my customers have found, to actually take advantage of this right now as opposed to hold off. Then you're going to want to stop. You're going to want to let them speak for a little bit. You're going to want to receive whatever they say and say, absolutely, folks, completely understand. Tell me a little bit more. And you're going to want them to give you all of the ammunition that you're going to need to continue moving forward in the process. This is just overcoming the hurdle from the absolutely not, I'm not interested, I want my $5 Walmart gift card and I want to get out the door, to piquing the curiosity and beginning to solicit true objections. The true objections are going to be, I can't afford it right now. But don't start firing all of your bullets right away. And remember to take the time to don't launch into this until you've done some of your investigation and you've built a little bit of a relationship and you've let them give you the answers to the questions you're going to need to pitch this appropriately. Okay? Let's dial in. Let's stop brooming these customers. These customers have the ability, the stability. They can pay you the most amount of money. Their last buying process is freshly in their mind. They'll give you all the information of how somebody else already did what you're trying to do. So let's start zeroing in on these customers and stop sweeping them through as fast as we can, all right?